So let's talk about questions and asking everything. Um, I recently put out a reel which talks kind of about this subject in very brief concept of it. But one of the ideas is that when you're experiencing something, to understand that our logical mind is unable to logic a lot of experience because it's not meant to. So there's this idea of surrendering to the experiences you're having and not trying to focus on the whys, the hows, what all is going on. Yes, we want to do that, but if you focus on, well, I didn't experience it because I can't explain it from a 3D mindset, you're going to limit yourself because a lot of this stuff that we've learned to experience through our senses, through our logic, when we experience things outside of that, it can't be explained by logic, can't be explained by 3D experience. So, surrender is a key when experiencing as time goes on. But I don't want people to confuse that with asking questions and asking everything. That's the point of this chapter, is to ask questions, ask everything. The idea is that in your current state of reality, look around and ask questions. What is the truth of your experience? What are the politicians telling you? What is the news media telling you? What are you reading on social media? Why, I talked earlier about the media and that. Why are they using certain headlines? Why are they using certain photos? What is the goal? What is the truth of what is going on? Why, when I walk into a store, are there two cases, two coolers of energy drinks? Why is there a Starbucks on every corner? Why is the line at Chick-fil-A always out into the roads? Everywhere, every time I've been to one, it's in the road, it's blocking traffic. Yet the police don't get involved to shift the traffic. Why is that? What's really going on? Why are there certain stores everywhere? Why is there no produce in country farm towns, in the produce in the city centers where the richer people are, where those with more abundance are? Why is that? Why are there food deserts when there don't need to be? What is really going on? What are you being told to do? If somebody tells you to do something, what is their motivation? What is their goal? What are they not telling you? This is a very important seed that I'm planting that I want you to think about. What are they not telling you? Very important when dealing with politicians, governments, corporations, the news media. What are people not telling you? So you ask questions, not just questions of that, ask questions of reality. It's something I used to do in the grocery store while stocking shelves or pushing carts and gathering them. Why is it snowing outside? Why is it sunny? Why do I live here? Why does the sun and moon rotate around the earth? Well, I should say the moon. Obviously, the sun and the earth rotates around the sun. But why does that happen? Could it be wrong? That's the other thing. Always ask, where am I wrong? What am I missing? Am I in the right? Or is there something I'm missing? We take flat earth, for example. Right off the bat, I'll say, from a three-dimensional standpoint, I don't believe in flat earth. From a three-dimensional standpoint. From a three-dimensional standpoint, if you use three-dimensional science, math, etc., the Earth is not flat, it's round. It's the math of it all. It's the how we do that if you use our existing science. The Earth spins, the moon is orbiting around it, that orbits around the sun, other planets are orbiting the sun too, crossing, different orbital lines. And it's not like they show you where it's planets lined up in circles. It's actually, one planet's orbiting this way, one's orbiting this way, one's orbiting this way. It's like an atom. You can think of it like an atom. The sun is the nucleus, and everything's rotating in different orbital patterns around that nucleus. So one of the things they confuse you with and don't tell you the truth of, it's not these circles in a straight line type of thing. But why does it do that? Think about that too. It's the structure of an atom. It really looks like the structure of an atom. Why does it look like that? Could it be different based on our current sciences? Could the Earth be flat? Could it be a pyramid? Could it be something entirely different that we don't know about? Now, in my belief, in my experience, the Earth is round from a three-dimensional standpoint. But when you raise to higher vibrations, when you raise to these different abilities to see everything at once, I've met beings who see it as a plane of existence, plane. I can't wrap my head around how that works. I understand enough about quantum physics and all these other spiritual concepts my guides have taught me that there is no space. There is no three-dimensional space. It's a perception that we have and experience. But one atom here, one particle here, can interfere with a particle on the other side of the universe. So there's really no space. Everything's together all at once. So it could be planes of existence. It could be stacked. It all depends on how you view reality. But if you come at it saying, I'm going to use three-dimensional tools to prove a higher dimensional topic, it's not going to work. Doesn't mean you don't want to ask the questions. And that's the whole point. I came to that by asking questions about flat Earth. I was adamant the Earth is round. I have a science background, a math background. I love science. I love astronomy, or used to. I used to study it in college and stuff. How could it be flat? Like we have the math, we have all of this. So I started asking myself and listening to the stories, and I'm like, okay, I don't agree with any of this. There are team mentalities. Remember, I talked about teams. People are taking teams of flat Earth versus global Earth. I don't know if there's actually a term for it other than spherical Earth, whatever word you want to use. But the flat earthers versus the science mathematicians. And then I started spirituality, and I'm thinking about all the different ways beings perceive things differently. I think a lot of the flat earth has to do with team mentality. But at the same time, I was like, well, I asked this question to myself. I started thinking through this process. How could I come to see their side of things? Like, what would lead me that way? Asking questions of everything. What's the reality I'm experiencing versus them? What if they are channeling a past life or a being without knowing it who does not experience the three-dimensional world? And I went, bing, bing, bing. Now, based on what I've heard and how fervent and adamant people get on these topics, I think it's team mentality for the most part, and people not asking questions and being open to receiving that this side might be right, this side might be right, might be a gray middle. So it's the team mentality that's causing the conflict, but the conflict's also caused because people aren't asking questions. And they're not asking the right questions. There's no wrong question, only wrong answers. Every question is valid, gets us thinking, gets us processing. So I took that topic as an example, and it seems to come up a lot. It seems to be one that is like controversial, very controversial, but also gets you wondering, like, wait a second, what if the whole idea of this topic started, and be very clear, started with one person or a group of people remembering a past life as a higher dimensional being or channeling a higher dimensional being who does not experience the three-dimensional world, who does not experience the three-dimensional universe. What if they were doing that? So in that case, their reality of a flat earth would be real. Now, then you go, okay, well, how did it get this far? Well, maybe that started that way and then it ran and you have all these little offshoots of different theories of how it works. The problem I've seen with flat earth is there's no concise, this is what it is. Some people think it's just a world that's ever expansive and keeps going out and is flat. Others talk about it being a flat piece of land in a bubble, like a terrarium, essentially. There's no agreement. There's no agreement in that field. There's so many different opinions of what it means to be flat earth. But what if it started from a level of, hey, we're channeling, we're experiencing from a higher dimension. So it's possible the earth is flat because they were in that state. And then you have, over here, you have one concise belief. The earth is round, spherical, global. One concise belief from a three-dimensional standpoint. But you never would think about that. Many of you thinking this through or thinking about flat earth are probably like, wait a second, I've never wondered about that before. It's something I never thought of. I just looked at flat earth and when I don't believe in it, it does not fit my experience. It doesn't resonate with me. But then I started to think, I started to ask questions. What's the truth? How could this have started? What could it be? Why are there so many different ideas of what it actually is? Maybe it did start from a higher dimensional level of something trying to explain from our point of view looking down through consciousness. We see it as a plane because really there's no space. It could be anything. That's why I mentioned pyramids before. There could be a level of consciousness where everything is a pyramid. Not saying that there is. I'm just saying that there are different experiences based on your perceptions of reality. But that's what you have to look at through your daily life. Look at the news media. Why is that team saying X, Y, Z? Why are they using the words in the headline? What is the motivation? What is the goal? What information are they leaving out? Why is this person on the team saying this and this one over here saying something different? What are you missing? What is the possibility? Could you be wrong? With the flat earth idea, I realized, wow, I could actually have been wrong. Not wrong in the sense that the people who are spreading different ideas are not wrong against that, but wrong against the idea that maybe the earth is flat to beings from a certain dimensional level. And I've had people who have told me when they go into higher dimensions, they see the plane of existence. And I agree with that. But from a three-dimensional level, it's three-dimensional. It's a different dimensional perspective. But it shifted my view when I started really asking questions about it. So you can do that with politics. And if you do it with politics, when you're seeking, you'll wake up to all the lies and manipulation of politics, and you'll start doing that with politics. You'll realize this side's arguing one thing, this side's arguing another, but really, they're doing the same exact things. It doesn't matter who ends up in office. Same thing happens. And then they deny that this happened, and you can go back and look and be like, they're denying this, but it actually happened. You know, it's all a fiction. It's all things that aren't being questioned by the general public because they just hear what they're being told and believe it rather than questioning what they're being told. And when you question, you start to look at things differently. You start to realize your senses are lying to you, like that chapter I talked about. You don't see everything. You don't hear everything. And even you can be sitting beside the same person and not have, or be sitting beside a person and not having the same experience. One can be happy, one can be sad when everything in the environment is the same because of how they're perceiving reality. So why are they experiencing something different than you? It's all about asking questions. And there's this, like I said, there's this tricky spot of when you start experiencing, of surrendering, because asking questions actually limits the experience. But it really is about asking questions to break you free from the matrix, to break you free from control structures, to break you free of team mentality, to break you free of what you think you want and desire. If you're unhappy, start asking, why am I unhappy? What do I want? What do I want to manifest? What is wrong with my situation and what would be better? Because if you're not asking those questions, you'll never figure it out. And it can take time. You're not going to have an answer for everything right away. It takes time. It takes time to process. But if we don't ask the questions, if we don't start looking around reality and saying, wait, this doesn't seem right over here. Why isn't it right? Is it that it's not right? Or is it that I'm missing something? And it opens your mind. The idea of keeping an open mind from one of the first lessons allows you to keep an open mind and question everything. What is the truth of reality to you? And what could be the truth of reality for others? So question everything, learn to ask questions, and remember, there is no wrong question. There are only wrong answers. It's okay to ask questions. We need to change that in our society. Teach your kids to question. Teach your kids to ask, to be comfortable asking questions. People don't have to answer, but there are wrong answers. They can simply say, I don't want to answer. But there are wrong answers. There are lies and manipulations, and that's how you see through them. You start asking questions. I was at a political event one time back in my 20s when I really woke up. I always had a thing against politics because I intuitively knew what was going on. But in my 20s, I went to my first political event where a guy running for like state Congress or something was there. And I was watching him and I was questioning everything he did. And people would get up, they'd ask him a question. And he'd go, that's a really great question. And he'd start telling a story. And by the time he finished the story, people would be like, oh, that was a really good story. He never answered the question. They forgot the question by the time he was done with the story. But I was sitting there. I knew the question. I knew he was telling a story. And I knew exactly what he was doing. He was not answering the question. He went, "That's a great question." And then he told a story to divert their attention because he knew if he had to answer it, it would be a lie. Because he couldn't tell the truth without upsetting his supporters. Think about that. How are people reacting when you ask a question? Are they openly giving you an answer? Are they saying, "I don't know the answer"? Are they saying, "I'd rather just not answer because it's private to me, my private life"? That's a boundary. They can set boundaries. They're allowed to. But when they do those things, are they just diverting like he was, telling a story and ignoring the question altogether? How are they responding or reacting to the question? That'll tell you a lot about what's really going on in the media, politics, social media, even with a person, an individual. Always ask questions. There are no wrong questions, only wrong answers. Thank you for watching. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I love you all and I'm grateful for all of you.